go. All right. And get a good look at the ground because it's the last time we're going to see it in a while. Airspeed's alive. Engine gauge is normal. 80 knots, rotate. Positive rate gear up. Okay, so at 560 feet, we make a right turn to 200. Gonna bring the power back just a little bit here. Let me go ahead and bring the flaps up too. Look at that, already a mistake. Okay. According to the GPS, I can now turn towards our departure fix. There we go, that's what I needed. GPS fix. And lights as required. Let's go ahead and put strobes on. Taxi light off. Okay, anti-ice is on. Next, we're doing a right turn to 007. What altitude should I be at right now? at or above 2,800, so we're okay. And a max of 185 knots was the briefed speed. We're at 178 now, so we're going to pull back power just a little bit. Keep ourselves in the climb, though. A little more trim up there. Customize the weather again because it looks like it kind of cut off there. Let's see if it'll reload now. That's better. Okay. Okay, after we pass the Mostar VOR, we'll watch that needle flip. Then we can make a left turn on a radial of 330. We need to keep a climb going just a little bit longer to 10,000. Let's go ahead and reduce some of our workload here. $10,000. Vertical speed of, say, 800. Okay. AP on. Vertical speed, 800. Oh, what'd you do? There's our 330 though. Okay, now I would have busted my altitude there. Or this way. I see what happened. Okay. Got to work out some bugs with my autopilot switches over here. I'm using the Viper TQS. And I tried to get it to mimic what the F-16 does, but not quite there yet. Alright, so now we're on our departure leg. At or above 10,000 feet. You can see the terrain is pretty inhospitable over here. Pre-select our back course heading. Actually, let's look at the arrival here. Procedure. Select arrival. None. Okay, that's fine. Select approach. It's a localizer. What do I got here? This is localizer. I think this one was Yankee. What would it say on the dang chart here? See what happens. And the approach fix MSR. Yep, I see it here. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and activate this approach. Alright. And then let's go close the flight plan. Change the nav source to GPS, and we'll get turned around here. And our target airspeed will be 130 knots. disconnect the autopilot. I don't think this plane has an indicator for standard rate turn. I'm sure as heck not seeing one. Alright, so I kind of want to fly this legit on the localizer, not GPS. Make it a little more challenging that way. Alright, so localizer frequency. Let's see, we've already got the ATIS tuned in. So
Mostar information echo.
Grab that, just like our procedures
1700 Zulu weather. Wind 180 at 7, variable 150 to 210, visibility 3, rain. Sky conditions 1800, overcast, temperature 35, dew point 31. Altimeter 2985. Arriving runway 34, departing runway 16. Advise on initial contact, you have echo.
There's echo. So it looks like here we need to fly. No. We wait till 7 DME. Alright. If we're holding, we can go. Where was that? 5,500. Need some more of these FIPs. Do this a little quicker. It's not flipping through a billion screens. Okay, so we're going to descend to 5,500. But only after we cross the fix. So I'm going to go down to 9,000 for right now. Yep, I guess what we'll do is we'll descend in the holding pattern. Now, where do I have distance from the fix, I wonder? Oh, there we go. Right there on the GPS. VOR MSR distance 7.1 miles. We need to be on the other side of it at 7 miles. Okay, we're too low now. See that? There's another mistake. Got fixated on the DME instruments, or at least trying to find them. Cockpit familiarity is important. There's our approach speed, 130. Now let's just see if we can maintain that. So we're going to be doing a teardrop entry procedure. So once we cross the fix, we're going to do a 1 minute leg out. A standard rate turn back. And we'll rejoin that course. Our next turn will then be a left-hand turn. It's a left-hand holding pattern. The initial one will be a right-hand turn. 45 degrees to the right. Let's go ahead and set that up, so we're getting close to the fix here. This plane is god-awful to try and hold altitude with. Very squirrely plane. I could use autopilot to help, but the idea here is to be task saturated for practice. Okay, we just crossed the fix. I'm going to go ahead and start my timer. We should see that needle come back in as we get further from the fix. And we cross the cone of confusion. We still need to come a little bit over. There we go. Alright, so since we crossed the fix, we can now descend to 5,500, which is where I have my bug set. I'm going to reduce power, let the plane come down on its own. Got about 1,500 feet per minute descent. 1,500 to 2,000, not bad. Bring the speed brakes out to 1. Maybe that'll help us hold that 130 a little better, because we really need to be in that speed now because we're going to be in the holding pattern. Okay, and I just did a minute and a half, but that's okay. Probably for this higher speed airplane, that's probably the right call. So we did a right hand turn, now we need to do a left back. My bad. Going to become quite disorienting in here. There's our altitude to hold. Bring those speed brakes back in. I actually made another error here. That's alright, I think we can recover. We need to be 7 DME away from MSR. That's where the actual holding point is. It's like impossible to hold that 130 knots right now. Alright, let's try to get the airplane stable here. I'm doing a lot of maneuvering. Alright. We got 1 mile to go. Probably not going to get stabilized before then, but I need some nose down pitch to get us to 5,500 feet. Okay, now that we're past 7 DME, I'm going to start a 1 minute timer. Yeah, I would argue that this airplane's not very good with IFR. It's just too squirrely. We're at 30 seconds. There's 1 minute. Restart our timer. Okay, so heading of 354. Is the final approach course. And we can go ahead and step down to 3,000 feet. So now the airplane doesn't want to descend. It's so weird. There it goes. Alright. Let's come over here. We'll set our altitude bug to 3,000. You can tell I botched several things on this approach here. Alright, so the final approach fix is that 7 DME. After that, we can step down. So we have to be at or above 4,000 until after that fix. Let's put up those speed brakes again. As you can see, the needle kind of gives you an early indication, the blue one. So I'm going to go ahead and bring a set of flaps down. This will be our landing configuration. Let's go gear down. That'll be the last time I reconfigure the airplane before we go visual. Okay, we can step down now to, let's see here, what is it? Looks like we can go all the way to our decision height, which is going to be 2,000 feet. Let me pause this for a second, actually. Yeah, 1,950. So, yeah, 2,000's a good one. Okay, 900 feet to minimums. $500. Minimums. Oh, look at that. We got visual. Continue. Speed brakes to full. Flaps to full. Get a whole bunch of nose down pitch. Yeah. This approach could have gone a little bit better, but I mean, look at how high we are. this is why you probably need higher decision heights and visibility, because like this would be difficult for a bigger plane to do. Luckily I got speed brakes and flaps and like plenty of drag I can add to the plane to try and drop it down. Come on, baby. Give us a touchdown. Yeah. Aero brake it a little bit. Okay, so that's the VOR approach. I made a few errors with altitude and some other things, but ultimately we made it, so that's good. Bring those speed brakes and flaps in. Nose wheel steering's active. Alright, and let's put our taxi and landing lights on. Is the time of day changing to night, or is this just awful weather? Let's look at
Mostar information
weather
echo.
again.
1700 Zulu weather. Wind 180 at 7, variable 150 to 210, visibility 3, rain. Sky conditions 1800, overcast, temperature 35, dew point 31. Altimeter 2985. Arriving runway 34, departing runway 16. Advise on initial contact, you have echo.
Alright, let's look at a different approach here. We got the RNP, runway 33. I just noticed the attitude indicator is not totally level. I wonder if I can fix that. Let's see if I can reboot it and see what happens. Nope. What? Since when do they have radar weather? No way! leave that alone for right now. Okay. So let's go and hit the procedure button again. We're going to select an approach. Understand how that departure, looking at a SID that departs runway 33, to be able to make what is the visibility requirements for this one? What's our field elevation? 160? Let's see what this approach is. DNC, instrument approach fix. No, let's go back. IGS Yankee. Let's see what this is. RPED and M0608 are the approach fixes. There's a mandatory overfly MAPT or no, MOM01. Mama 1. Some fly-by waypoints, pop E. Let's just see what this does. Nope, it's basically the same approach I just did. Select approach. No, I don't want that approach. Try. that either. These look like they're all the same. Yeah, they might not have the other ones. Let's see what this should be VOR A, but Moxad. Let's see what it looks like. None of these line up to the approach fixes on the GPS RNAV, the RNP plate. Well, okay. Let's just do another localizer then, huh? I don't like how I did it, so we'll do it again till we do it right. Huh? Okay, this time we'll depart to the south. So we'll take off runway 15. I think I have a departure here that I can load for 15. That would be the same departure we flew earlier, I guess. Yep, that's this SID right here. So let's go ahead and we're gonna step back. Select the departure. We're gonna go Gebney this time. Let's see if that one's in here. How about Intit? No. Netco. K. Netco 1K. That's got to be this one here. Yep, that's it. Okay, cool. We're going to load that one. We're going to fly this one strictly on GPS. Let's go to nav source GPS. Okay. And let's go ahead and set up the localizer. That one. So with some of these approaches where you can use GPS guidance, the final approach has to be done using the published nav aid. So you can't use a GPS approach when you're using a localizer approach. You have to switch to the localizer and use that. At least that's the way it's done in the US. I don't know how it's done in Europe, but important to know that. Alright, so with our nav1, let's go ahead and put in 354 degrees. That's really all I need to do. Oh, look, I have DME on this screen. Why didn't I gotta start using the instruments more that I have physically. Alright. So, lights as required, power's on, fuel pumps, and gear levers down. Alright, we're gonna set flaps for takeoff. Alright, so we're going to fly this departure, then we'll come back around after we've reached an altitude of 10,000 feet. Same as before, this departure requires a right-hand turn, a max of 185 knots, 560 degrees. This time we'll remember to get the flaps up with the landing gear. Alright, brakes released. Airspeed's alive. Gauge is in the green. 80 knots, rotate. Okay, flaps up, positive rate gear up. Okay, now let's make that right-hand turn. 200 degrees. Level off here at 11,000. Yeah, I would have totally busted the check right there too. Seems like no matter how much you trim this airplane, it'll just do whatever it wants anyway. I didn't intend to fly these at night, but adds to the realism, I guess. Makes it more difficult. Alright, now we're on our exit course. Alright, so into our fix at 354 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and put my bug here. And we're going to preset. Select approach, ILS localizer, Yankee. I think all of them are the same anyway, but I'm going to say MSR, approach fix, activate approach. Okay. And go ahead and get turned around here. Okay, down to 5,500. Let's get our altitude bug down there. Get the plane slowed down. Initially, we can't go below 8,000 right now until we've crossed the fix, so, or well, 7 DME from MSR. So we'll go to 8.5. We'll hold that. As you can see here, the GPS needle and the VOR needles are kind of useful together, because when they converge, you know that you're on the path that you need. And like right here, I can fly this intercept course, and I know that I've got enough angle on that flight line without even looking at the GPS. There we go. We're looking at 15 DME right now. You just slow it down just a little bit. We've almost got the airplane stable. That's good. But yep, there we go. That's what I needed. was that? Approach 354 degrees. There we go. Got it set. Miles to our fix. Okay, hold on. Let's make sense of some stuff here because that 7 DME, this thing shows a procedure turn. Yeah, whatever's published on this GPS is not quite right. Actually, this holding pattern has something else that's interesting with it. Let's see if I can pull it up here. So here you can see that we still have some DME readings. So your missed approach, you would you know, make a turn here, blah, blah, blah. And the way that they're measuring the end of your approach leg looks to me, well, that might be part of the arc actually. 12.3 MSR. It's very hard to, I'll do a little bit more research on this, but I should be okay with what I've got presently. Now we can step down to 3,000 after our one lap in the holding pattern. For now it's 5,500. Looks like I already got my altitude bug for that, so let's do this. We're going to start our descent and our turn at the same time. Alright. That is just not a standard rate turn at all. Be helpful if this plane had an indicator for it. Just gonna shallow it out a whole bunch. Okay, on our back leg here. So we can cross that fix at 3,000 after our one lap in the holding pattern. So maybe we come back around. Alright, there's a minute. Let's turn back around here. We're at 5,500. Let's go ahead and level off. Let's go ahead and reconfigure the airplane for landing. So we're going to do flaps one notch, gear down and locked. I got 3 green. Okay, and lights is required. Text and landing lights are on. Let's get our strobes on here. And then let's go ahead and step down to 3,000. Our next fix is map T, which is 3 DME. So after our fix, we can go from 3,000 to decision height. And that's going to be 2,000 feet. This plane seems to like about 110, 120 knots for approach with these flaps and gear configuration. So let's use that in the future here. So once we cross the fix, we start a timer. Okay, 130, 115 it looks like is the next one. That's 2 minutes 5 seconds for the approach. There's our DME. We need to descend a little faster here. There it is. Start. And now we can step down to 2,000. That is a very steep descent, actually. 2,000 feet a minute. Like, darn, bro. On the chart, it shows like 5.9 degrees, so hey, they ain't lying. Okay. So we can step down to 2,000, and then we'll hold it there and see if we can See that runway. Oh, look at that. We made it. I've got visual on the runway. We're going to go to full flaps. And we'll say 100 knots. Let's see. So we're at 3.9 DME. And the fix, what did I say that was? 3. So we made it about a mile early on the descent, but that's okay. That's what the step downs are for. You can just level off and hold it. And we're going to hold this 1500 AGL here. Add a little more power to keep us level. So squirrely. let's clean up the airplane. Alright, flaps up and air brakes in. And we could probably turn off our de-ice. Set our parking brake and power down the aircraft. All lights are off, avionics offline, idle cutoff, and battery off. Lock our canopy and get rained on. There we have it, guys.